Aaron Campbell was a 15-year-old teenager who lived with his parents in Isle of Bute, Scotland. Aaron seemed to be an interesting young man with many hobbies, such as swimming, video games, and most notably, YouTube. On Aaron's YouTube channel, he would post various videos. In one of these videos, he can be seen doing various flips and tricks on the trampoline. Aaron seemed to be a happy, inconspicuous teen who had a bright future for himself. However, behind closed doors, this was far from the truth. Over the past couple of years, Aaron's psyche had taken a turn for the worse. Aaron would later admit that at the time of being 15, he was having dark fantasies that involved torture, murder, and having relations with dead bodies, making him a necrophile. On top of this, over time, these twisted fantasies were only accentuated by Aaron's substance abuse issues. Aaron was heading on a downward spiral, and it was only a matter of time until he would bring to fruition his abhorrent fantasies. On July 2nd of 2018, Aaron and his mother got into an argument that would send Aaron into a depressive state. While sulking in his room, Aaron decided he was in need of some cannabis to numb his episode. This is when Aaron would make a phone call to his drug dealer, Robert McPhail. Due to it being so late at night, Robert did not pick up any of these calls. This infuriated Aaron, so much so that he decided to sneak out and go to Robert's house armed with a knife to forcefully retrieve some cannabis. Upon arrival at Robert's house, Aaron walks straight in due to the front door being unlocked. Immediately, Aaron spots Robert's daughter, 6-year-old Alicia McPhail, sleeping. Upon seeing her, his plan changes. Instead of trying to find the cannabis stash, he picks up Alicia and exits Robert's residence. He then begins to walk Alicia down the shoreline that was right next to Robert's house. He explains to a then drowsy Alicia that he is a friend of her father's and that he is bringing her home. Eventually, on his walk down the shoreline, Aaron disposes of his knife into the water. Once Aaron had reached a secluded part of the coastline where nobody was likely to spot him, he decides to do the unthinkable. At around 3 a.m. that fateful night, Aaron and strangled 6-year-old Alicia to death. After this crime had been committed, Aaron begins the process of trying to conceal what he had just done. Instantly, Aaron strips his body of his clothes with bloodstains on them and disposes of them in the ocean. After this, he rushes home and manages to arrive at 3:35 a.m. Instantly, he hops into the shower to clean himself off. After this, he realizes that he had left his phone at the scene of the crime, so at 4:07 a.m., he leaves his house once more. Aaron then returns home shortly after. Around 6 a.m., Robert wakes up and realizes his daughter has gone missing. In a state of worry, he begins to frantically search. This is when he notices the multiple missed phone calls from Aaron. Robert's, unaware of everything that happened, informs Aaron about his daughter's disappearance. At around 8:54 a.m., a member of the public spots Alicia's lifeless body and calls the police. When Robert got news of this, he was distraught and told Aaron about it, unaware that this whole time he was speaking to the culprit himself. Aaron thought this murder was a perfect crime and that he would never be caught. This was not the case. Aaron's mother had cameras set up on the outside of their house, and these cameras caught Aaron's every move, from the time he initially left his house to his final return after retrieving his phone. At the time, Aaron's mother had submitted this footage to the police in hopes that it would clear him as a suspect, as she really believed that her son was innocent. However, just 2 days after Alicia's murder, this footage, in addition to other pieces of evidence, solidified Aaron as the perpetrator, to which he was subsequently arrested. For these crimes, he was given a life sentence. Marcin Majerkiewicz was a Polish man who moved to the Winton area of Eccles-Salford in an attempt to start a new life. To acclimate himself in his new environment, Marcin began taking English lessons. It would be in these lessons that he would meet a man named Stuart Everett. Over time, the two would become good friends, and Stuart, being the good person he was, let Marcin move in with him to help out with his financial situation. On the night of March 27, 2024, motivated by financial gain, Marcin snapped. He bludgeoned Stuart in the head with a hammer. His death was not instant, but rather slow and agonizing. After the murder, Marcin seized all of Stuart's bank cards, then began to dismember his body. Once he was cut into small enough pieces, Marcin put them inside small luggages, bags, and suitcases, and started scattering them around Salford and Greater Manchester. At this point, days had gone by, and there were no suspicions that a murder had taken place. Marcin was doing a thorough job at covering up, at some points even using Stuart's phone to respond to text messages sent by his family members. He was able to keep this murder hidden for 7 days before the first of many bags containing Stuart's remains were found. The first of these bags had been discovered at a nature reserve in Salford by a member of the public. After this discovery, forensics started doing work on the body, trying to identify who it was. In the meantime, authorities jumped on this case. They started to scan CCTV footage in the area, and that's when they noticed something interesting. Recorded on CCTV in multiple different instances was Marcin carrying around various bags and luggage containing Stuart's remains. Police found many instances where Marcin would be carrying one of these bags, and then on his way back home they would be gone. At this point in time, Stuart's remains had not been positively identified, so police dug deeper into this lead. Eventually, they stumble across CCTV footage that shows Marcin at an ATM using one of Stuart's bank cards. This was severely incriminating, enough that it would warrant apprehension. However, there was one issue. Police still had no idea who the man in the video was. It is April 25th, 2024, and an officer in Eccles near Salford spots a man that fits the same exact description as the man seen in the CCTV footage. This indeed was Marcin. Before police could apprehend him, he had already boarded a bus. Police then go to the nearest bus stop and wait for him to arrive to arrest him. The following footage is of that encounter.
California. Meantime, you're detained for the purpose of a search while we ascertain your identity, okay?
Or if you could pass me your mobile number for
Just one stand up first.
Well, this still group, give us a call, please.
Can you double check, please?
Got to check his pocket and hold it.
Thank you. Everybody this still group with a van to collect this potential customer that's going in.
Have you got anything sharp or anything in your pockets that might hurt me?
No, absolutely, mate.
Okay. It's fine, don't worry, we'll just check and then...
Blast the box drop for a van
It's
for you.
definitely a mistake. 100%.
I know, I appreciate that. All we've had is information passed to us from officers investigating a serious matter as to whether you may be
something
involved.
happened on
Just stand there.
like I
Not
told
right
you.
now. Not today, but it has happened recently, okay? It's 12 minutes past 1. It's a minute of time. You're under arrest on suspicion of murder. Do you understand the offence? You're under arrest for the meeting time, okay? Suspicion of murder for an incident which occurred in Salford, all right? So you were taken to police station for a question regarding that.
Okay, I go with you and
Okay.
I answer any questions.
Yeah, all right. Got it.
Yeah, hold on.
Searching it over. He has, mate.
Still make sure you got nothing in West Brom, right?
Do it again if you want to,
Right. I've seen that there. What's your head?
What's your head?
While Marcin was apprehended, forensics eventually identified the remains as Stuart's. Authorities then make the connection between Marcin and Stuart living together. That, plus the CCTV footage and his suspicious behavior, were used as solid evidence in his conviction. And on March 28, 2025, Marcin Majerkiewicz was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum sentence of 34 years. It's a Monday morning in 2016, and attendees began to show up at the Creekside Church of Christ. The reason for their arrival was that a fitness course was being held by instructor Missy Beavers. The attendees enter the building. Everything is eerily still. They start to make their way into the room where the fitness course was being held. And that's when they see it. 45-year-old Missy Beavers' motionless body on the ground. Initially, investigators noticed that there was broken glass inside the church, prompting them to believe there was some sort of break-in. Investigators then turned their attention to the footage recorded from the CCTV camera. At the time of Missy's death, the outside cameras were not functioning properly. However, the ones on the inside were recording the whole time, specifically the hallway camera. This is the footage the camera captured. As we can see, the killer had been caught in the act, armed with a hammer and wearing tactical police gear, while they walk around the building, almost like they're searching for something or someone. They then proceed to go off camera, and a short time later, Missy Beavers was dead. With the murder itself being executed meticulously, given the disguise and the calm demeanor seen in the video, the killer managed to leave zero evidence behind, besides the footage. Investigators couldn't help but notice how the killer was walking. They walked in a strange manner, with the right foot being turned outwards with each step. From this, they began to consider the possibility that the killer was female, given the feminine way they were walking. A likely explanation for this, though, is that it was caused by the heavy tactical equipment they were wearing. After further investigation by accessing camera footage belonging to nearby businesses, police eventually land on a lead. On the morning of Missy's murder, at a gun store located less than a mile away from the Creekside Church, CCTV footage captured something peculiar. In the footage, we can observe a gray sedan, acting suspicious in the store's parking lot. Upon obtaining this footage, police tried to identify the driver of this vehicle, However, given that at no point in the video the license plate becomes readable, this lead fell short. During investigation, Missy's husband Brandon Beavers fell under suspicion, most likely due to him being closely related to her. Police seize Brandon's phone and find text messages relating to their ongoing financial and marital struggle, and also intimate personal relationships external to the marriage. Despite this evidence being a possible motive, Brandon was eventually cleared upon verification of his alibi that he was on his annual company fishing trip. Since this murder occurred nearly a decade ago, there have been countless other leads that have gone nowhere. This case is still unsolved. All we have of it is the footage. The footage of the killer being caught in the act, which is exactly what is so frustrating about this. It feels as if finding Missy's killer is right on the tip of our fingers, but we can never reach it.